Phil, let's start by telling the viewers who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Phil Duffield. I'm the Managing Director of Adapt TV for Southeast Asia. For those of you who don't know what Adapt TV is, the best way that I can explain Adapt TV is to say Adapt TV is the Amazon of the online video world. So if you think about e-commerce, you don't think about fragmentation, right? You think e-commerce is very simple because we have all the tools via Amazon and eBay. We log on, we view, we buy, it gets delivered the next day. So Adapt TV does that, but for the video world. We have a demand side platform, we have a supply side platform, and we have our own marketplace or exchange. We allow buyers and sellers to come together on our platform and trade programmatically, whether that be real time, upfront, IO basis. We just provide the technology that allows them to trade in a very simple way.
So in Australia, the most recent figures show that advertisers are spending more online than they are on any other medium at this point, and video is just growing rapidly and becoming more and more a part of that display advertising pie.
Yeah.
What, in your mind, are some of the contributing factors to the growth of video?
Yeah, look, I think from this, the opinion of sight, sound, and motion, right? Online video is another part of TV. Well, we believe it's another part of TV, and we believe that video should be actually benchmarked against TV rather than online, because sight, sound, and motion online doesn't mean it's any different than sight, sound, and motion in your lounge. So I think what's kind of driven that is the online video. It's very accountable, but you can also use it as a branding mechanism as well. And I think because more and more people, as they move from their lounge room watching TV to watching video on their PCs, on their mobile, on their tablet, it's just driving dollars towards this online video. But the way we kind of view videos, we view it as a video neutral. Right? We believe that further down the track, buyers will use one platform to buy video. It won't be broken up by mobile, online, TV. They'll just buy a video neutral product. But I think the main thing is just the big shift we're seeing from people from TV, watching video on TV to online, is really driving that transition of dollars to online video.
And we do hear about that trend of agencies starting to look at buying online as well as TV together. How much of an uptake does that have in this market?
I think probably less than an uptake than people think. Right? Okay. There is some agencies right now that have moved their video buying into their TV team. So TV buyers are now having to kind of look at, but that is what's driving this whole. We should be having a unified metric. So instead of video being reported on CPMs and click-through rates and uniques, we should be talking about GRPs and TRPs and cost per point. And what's happening now with the release of Nielsen's OCR product and other products that have been spoken about being released in the market, it's enabling us as a technology and also as an industry to be able to report back in TRPs and cost per point. So it is happening. It's happening slowly because it's obviously the agencies have to go through a big learning curve of buying, because buying TVs is very different than buying video, and understanding the nature of how to buy video. So it's happening, but it's happening on probably a slower basis than most people think.
And to that point, what would be some things that your online buyers might learn from TV buyers and vice versa?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like how TV buyers buy. So TV buyers buying on content, right? And content and context. They don't buy on audience. They might buy on age, but they don't buy on an audience. And I think what TV buyers are learning from buying video, especially through technology platforms, is their audience buying. Via data, they're able to target their audience on a much more granular basis than they can through TV. So I think that's the big thing for TV buyers. They're like, okay, wow, I've never had these kind of tools available from a TV perspective. And I think from a an online side, you kind of say, well, actually, unifying metrics and reporting on cost per point and reporting on TARPs and gross rank point is actually a better reporting mechanism than CPM, CTR completion rates. So I think there's a learning curve for both sides of the fence.
And for instance, your platform allows buyers to plan, report, optimize across TV and online.
So
how does that work?
Yeah, so right now we can't do across TV, and the main reason for that is data, right? To be able to truly plan and buy and optimize across TV, you need data. And unfortunately, the likes of OzTam and those guys, I know they're probably having discussions with Nielsen, but they're also concerned about their own product, which is understandable. But to be able to truly report on that, uplift and TV only versus TV online to see your true reach and frequency, you can't do that until you have a true third-party TV data source. So yes, we can plan, buy, optimize and report across digital channels, and whether that be online or mobile or tablet, that's true. And we can, via Nielsen OCR, we can give them their cost per point and their TARPs and GRPs, but it's based on online data, based on online, which is audited by Facebook, and then that kind of gives us an idea. But it won't ever give us that true answer until we have a third-party data source from a TV gives us that true data.
Across all the platforms. Okay. So with this, I guess, increasing complexity of the ecosystem around video, what factors do buyers have to consider when they're choosing where and how and what to buy on with video?
Yeah, sure. I think it's changed a lot. I think initially people started talking about programmatic advertising, and when people speak about programmatic, they automatically think real-time bidding. And when they think real-time bidding, they think race to the bottom, display, banner ads at the bottom of the page. It kind of makes them nervous, right? But in video, that's completely different. The landscape's completely different. It's not about a race at the bottom. It's about making strategic buys based on audience, player size, viewability. So it becomes much more complex. So it's not just about RTB. I think that's an important definition to make, because when we talk about programmatic in itself is about creating efficiencies inside and outside of real time. So using technology to buy video, whether that be in real time, upfront, and IO, that's still programmatic. And I think buyers will make the definition of, okay, we want to make that buy on 9MSN or Fairfax, that's that premium buy. And then when they have their audience buy, they will use a technology or a DSP to then do that audience and reach buy through a technology platform.
Okay. And we talked a little bit about, in a perfect world, the types of metrics that we should be looking at with digital video, which would, start to look more and more like TARPs and GRPs and cost per point. But how about today? What seems to be the metrics that most advertisers, agencies are looking at? Are we still purely in a direct response phase with this, or are there branding metrics, and how are you reporting on them if you are?
So, look, to be brutally honest, it's still still the old CTRs, completion rates are still predominantly what people are measuring. When they do the new Nielsen purchase Visu, it's called Nielsen Online Brand Lift Study now instead of Visu. So when they run those products with our campaigns, and you can see brand lift, and you can see what people are saying about your products, and it does enable you to report back on brand lift and what people think about your product. There's also other products like Innovid who specialise in interactive pre-rolls, and they can give you data on how people interacted with your ad. Because with Innovid you can hover over the ad, it stops. You can play around with the microsite, you can click on links or whatever. it gives you much more in-depth information about how many people transacted with your ad, did they click off and look at your Facebook page via the advertising. So there is richer reporting analytics available, but it all depends on the campaign you're running. If you're running a standard pre-roll campaign with no bells and whistles, you're going to stick to your completion rates and your CTRs. If you're running a Nielsen brand lift study, you're going to get that information about what people think of your brand, purchase intent. If you're running Innovid, you're going to get all that information about did they interact with my brand, how many people did, how many people clicked on this link, so we have different levels, but it's all dependent on what campaign the agency or the client chooses.
Phil, maybe talk about what some of the factors are that might inhibit online video growth.
I think in Australia we're in a unique situation because we, as an industry, we spend a lot of money on advertising. I think one of the stats I read was like we spend more money per head on advertising than any other country in the world. So obviously it's very attractive to publishers, to technologies. But I think in the video space, the demand is huge, and the demand for high quality inventory is huge. The problem we have is supply, and specifically around local content. It's a challenge. You speak to any of the local pubs here, and they'll be sold out. Months in advance, they say they're sold out all their video, and to a point that's true. So what's happening is more and more people are, going to US.com sites to watch catch-up TV and see all, take on all this content. But I think what's preventing the growth here is we're still waiting for the NBN on broadband's terrible, and that's a huge pressure on building content. It's also very costly to build local content as well. So I think the biggest inhibitor is inventory and our ability to be able to to get local content, get it quickly, and have people watching that to build up that pool of quality inventory. I think that's the biggest challenge for the industry as a whole.
And we've talked a lot about the demand side of the equation, and maybe a little bit more on the supply side. How are publishers coming to terms with the video opportunity? What are they doing to address this?
It's actually really interesting with the publishers because, if we'd have had this conversation 12, 18 months ago, I would have said they're not interested. It's off the table. They're selling out 100%. They don't want to play in the programmatic space. And I'm probably sure they said that about display 2 or 3 years ago. Now you turn the clock forward, and we are working with local publishers on being their SSP platform, but also bringing demand via our DSP, and the take-up is increasing, and their knowledge and thirst for education around this area is increasing. News Limited recently released a press release saying they partnered with Adapt TV to trial as an SSP. So it's happening, and we're having discussions with a lot of the other guys, and publishers are kind of realising now that there is a fair chunk of change involved in audience buying, and they want to be able to open their inventory up to let the people who want to trade programmatically access their inventory through tech platforms. So it's actually been a really interesting journey going from there's no point talking, we're completely sold out, to how does this work out? Can we do this? Can we do that? And just really wanting to find out more about this space. And when they do find out more, because again, I think it goes back to the concern about RTB and being a race to the bottom. That was always their concern. We don't want to devalue our CPMs. That's not the case. All you're doing is offering this inventory to buyers, and you control the price. You control the metrics around buying. It's up to you as a publisher. They want your inventory. You can control that transaction. We're in a supply-constrained market. You can command what you want for your inventory. If they want to buy it, they're going to buy it. If they don't, they won't. So it's been probably it's been a really interesting journey for me as well to kind of see how the publishers have changed their opinion on programmatic in the video space.
Can you talk for a minute about linear TV and whether or not you think that will ever be bought programmatically?
It's an interesting question. I think, you know, a lot of people will go around talking about, yeah, we can sell and buy TV, but what they don't make the distinction between is IPTV and linear TV, which are two very different propositions. Yeah, look, IPTV has been available for a while through platforms, and you can buy that programmatically. But linear TV is a challenge, again, because of the systems around linear TV are usually quite old, and they're not automated in a way. So, but saying that, you know, it's as I said earlier, our belief is that we will be video neutral, and it will all move to programmatic. And us as a business, you know, we're very focused on making that happen. And linear TV is a goal for us. We will bring linear TV to the programmatic space. It's just a matter of when and how, and can we get the data. And because if you bring it all together and you get the data and you make TV spots available, people are going to buy it. But there is big distinctions between that, though, because you're never going to be able to buy linear TV real time. It will be near time, probably about a week, so probably better than buying TV now, but it's never going to be in real time because it just can't work. But I mean, it's definitely something that's going to change the face of the industry here. It's already happening, like in the US. You know, Adapt TV recently just announced a partnership with Magna Global around video and linear TV. So it's a big challenge, and it's something we're moving very quickly towards. And I think it will have a massive impact on how video as a whole is traded in this country.
Thanks for your time, Phil.
Pleasure. Thank you.